everybody. Please welcome Mr. Nick Tate.
Hi.
Hi.
What a shock, eh? No hair. Is it funny how we all age? I remember you when you were all that. Watching Space 1999 for the first time. Yeah, how exciting. Well, you know, I don't prepare speeches because they always last about 4 hours long when I prepare them. It's much better if I just kind of freeform because then I go for about 6. What I did was I brought along a few things that I understand there's going to be an auction because I thought that, I mean, these things are not valuable. It's kind of like junk lying around my bedroom and I want to get rid of them somehow. And some of you may know that over the last, 3 years now since I've been in America, I've been here 6 years. Would you believe I came the 22nd of June 1989. I came over here for a discussion with Paramount. I was doing a television series in Australia and Queensland called Dolphin Cove, which is a show. It didn't last very long. They did 8 episodes on CBS, and it was not bad. It had a lot of potential going for it, but it was logistically very difficult to do because it was shot in Queensland with dolphins, and it was shot at a marine park that had people water skiing and going on fun rides and big dippers down into the water with people screaming orgasmically, and it was very difficult when you're sort of like just 100 yards up the beach with dolphins, pretending you're on some desert island, having people going, water spraying all over the place. And I'd be saying something like, yes, it's idyllic, isn't it? we had to keep revoicing it, and there's a lot of post-production work that went into it. And short of moving it to another location, which would have been very difficult because the dolphins were very used to living where they were in their captivity. I'm not used to all this. You want me with my glasses on? I can't see, you're just a blur. I'm going to digress terribly because I'll start on, you've got to get me back on track. If I'm telling you something and I'm going somewhere else, it's Alzheimer's really. But I was doing a play a couple of years ago at the Tiffany Theatre here in LA with Helen Mirren, who's a wonderful actress. Yeah. So I think some of you came to see it. The Tiffany Theatre is on Sunset in Hollywood, and it's a really nice complex with 2 theaters, 99 seaters. And lots of show business people go there. I don't mind performing to anybody. I just don't want to know they're there. And when you work at the Tiffany, in fact, I don't know how many people are sitting in here now. Maybe this room's probably capable of taking about 90 people, and there's only about 45 people, I guess. So you can imagine the venue was not greatly different in proximity. And the play was a fairly intense kind of dark comedy, Woman in Mind, another Nate-Point English play. And I was playing a very prissy, uptight, anally retentive English clergyman who was the husband of this wonderful woman who was having fantasies about a second family. She got a bump on the head and dreamed up this wonderful family that played tennis and drank champagne all the time. And it was great fun. I enjoyed it immensely. And Helen Mirren is a wonderful person to work with. All the rest of the cast were great. But, as far as I was concerned, the audience just needed to be a sea of faces out there. That was cool. I can put these on now and I can actually distinguish which of you were men and women. But when I take it off, I can still tell men and women, but I can't really see your faces. For example, Judy Moore sitting over there was sitting there, and she'd come to the show, and I hadn't seen her in years, and I wouldn't suddenly go, oh my God, it's Judy, because I wouldn't know, it's just a blur. Well, thank God for that, because Barbara Streisand came and sat right in the front row. With a very short voice. I said later on, people, oh God, you know who's out there? I said, don't tell me! I would go and put my fingers in my ears because I hate to know this. Another night, in fact, I think it was the same night that Barbara was there. She has a very strong relationship with the lady on the Moonlight, Civil Show. Yeah, they were there together, both sitting in the front row. I couldn't understand why two people of such, high luminary profiles within the acting industry would sit there. And somebody said to me, don't you understand? They like to intimidate the actors. Come on, perform for me. Because, as an actor, particularly when you're working in movies, you are right there with the camera, and the crew are all walking around. They've seen it 1,000 times. They don't care. They don't give a damn what you're doing. They're kind of like punching each other on the arm, playing cards, and it can be incredibly distracting. You have to have such concentration to do that. I don't know that stage acting is easier, but at least when you're stage acting, you've rehearsed for 5 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Sometimes in theatre you only rehearse for 2 weeks. But you've got a real understanding of where it's all going to go and how you can control it. And the director and your fellow actors have come to some kind of understanding of where the levels are. And hopefully you'll get it right by opening night. And then, for my money, you should keep it there. A lot of actors, unfortunately, like to freeform after that and go their own way. So you wonder what play they're in when you come in the next night, because they're doing something totally different. And if I don't digress right now, maybe later on I'll tell you about a play I did called Don't Bother to Dress, with a lady that really did like to go off and never knew where the hell she was. But being in theatre with really professional actors like Ellen, I'm not suggesting that she would be identical every night, but we would try and stick as close as we could to opening night. Because let's face it, if you've worked towards an opening and you've given what you consider to be as near to the perfect as you can hope for opening night, get all the nice reviews, and all the important people are there, why shouldn't the people that come 5 weeks later get the same performance? Why shouldn't they? I had my eyes closed on this one. You're going to hate that photograph. I can tell when my eyes are closed because the flash looks red, coming through the eyelids. There's still a flash. God, no wonder I'm blind. I've had so many flashes. Most actors, it's a hazard of the business. But not so long ago, they used to use ArcLight, and I worked a lot in ArcLight. That will show you how old I am. But in the movies, when you have very bright sun, you'd think that would be enough. It isn't at all, because when you have very bright sun, it creates such contrast. They have to fill everywhere with more light. And so they keep on pumping in more and more light. And the lighting cameraman can always close down his lens, but he can't fill in the spaces where it's dark unless he pumps in more light. So it's an agony. You turn and you're supposed to be looking off into the distance, and there's 2,000 K of light hitting you in the eye. You're burning your eyeballs. One of the hazards of being a gaffer, a lighting gaffer, is that they used to get a thing called arc eye. And that's actually to get the surface of their eyeballs actually burnt by ultraviolet, infrared. I don't know. Does anybody here know what that is that does that? This guy's nodding his head. Are you an optician?
No. Theater major.
What major?
Theater degree.
Theater degree. Right. Well, we never got burnt by the theater lights, thank God. Gee, I've really gone off. I was starting to tell you about these little things that I brought along. Some of you may know that my work from the past, where are my glasses? They're not on top of my head, are they? The devil, but I look like, see, I'm really getting terribly old. Thinks I'm kidding. This is all the blur in the back. Now, my career has taken many and strange turns. And amongst some of the things that I did was a film called Cry Freedom with Meryl Streep. Kevin Kline. Cry in the Dark. See, I've done so many movies that start with the word cry. Cry in the Dark, yeah. There's some snatches of that on this tape. Cry Freedom, The Gold and the Glory, which is a movie about triathlon competitors, like triathletes, but it's on water. And Australians are particularly good at that. I don't know how a guy can run and swim and jump and do all those things for 4 hours without stopping. I mean, a marathon's bad enough. Those guys run for 2 or 3 hours. But these guys, because they have to swim as well, go for over 4 hours. Same course, 27 miles, in distance, 27 miles. It's a very grueling film, and I play a really horrible part in it. I'm a father who drives his two sons to compete with one another and everybody else. It was released all around the world under the title of The Coolangatta Gold, but for some reason they thought Americans wouldn't know what Coolangatta was, and so they called it The Gold and the Glory. I think you can find it in limited release around America. Anybody seen it?
I have.
Wonderful.
You fellows fished in Canada, so.
Did they?
Yeah,
In Canada? Yes, a pretty nasty character.
I recall, yes, you
Yeah,
were.
yeah. I didn't have to dig too deep. Then I did another film called The Return from the River Kwai. I had the pleasure to go to the Philippines and shoot that. Again, that picture wasn't, that has not been screened here because Colombia owned the rights to the bridge on the River Kwai. And they threatened the producers of this film that if they brought out a film with the title Return from the River Kwai, they'd be trying to cash in on the bridge on the River Kwai, which is of course exactly what they were trying to do. And they threatened them with a $50 million lawsuit. And so they pulled the picture from America. It's been shown everywhere else. I have to tell you that the bridge on the River Kwai took about 15 months to shoot. Everybody that worked on it became instant millionaires because they worked for so long. And you know, it's one of those landmarks in movie making. A David Lean movie, Alec Guinness, William Holden, fabulous music, you can't go wrong. We shot our picture in 5.5 weeks, and it doesn't have fabulous music or any of those wonderful actors, just me. Well, not just me. There were some very good actors in it. Anyway, there's a bit of it on this, and then there's a bit of Star Trek Next Generation that you guys watch Star Trek too?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you may have seen the episode of Next Generation that I did. Some people don't know that it's me. I'm proud of the ones that don't know that it's me because it was an incredible makeup. I sort of looked like a crazy bird. They did this divided nose on me and everything. Anyway, that's on here too. What might be a nice idea, I believe there's a one up there. There's a videotape machine available here for the screening of things. It might be an idea at some point in time before the auction tomorrow to screen some of these things so people can get an idea of what they are. And then that will go to the auction tomorrow. It's got bits of Dolphin Cove on it, bits of Open House, the series that I came over here to do, and then some silly montage as well. I got about 3 of these, I think. Yeah, there's 3 of those. And they're all the same. I do have a more recent tape that's got some of the stuff that I've been doing recently on it. But they're all out with my agent. These are returns. But they're still interesting, I think. Now this is what I'm doing here currently in America. Right now I've sort of changed horses, as it were. I have discovered, or at least I always knew that I could speak, but the American film industry seems to have discovered that they like my voice. And as some of you may know, that I do movie promos. You know, when you go to the cinema and you're sitting there and the green screen comes up and says preview, and you watch about 4 or 5 previews of the current movies that are about to come out. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting a tremendous amount of work in that area. Every day I'm in various sound stages putting down the voice for these promos. I did the voice for Jurassic Park right around the world. I thought when I was doing it, I was just doing work for America, but indeed they send it everywhere. I've been back to Australia and I've been to England, and in both places I've heard my work on television. Remember when you heard the voice saying, "This is a story that started 65 million years ago, a movie by Steven Spielberg, Jurassic Park." That was my voice.
Real Osbury. Yeah. I'm gonna check out that belt.
It's hard to do it. We don't have time to make characters. You gotta try and make them outside.
You're going to walk some of the costumes in a con?
Just the dresses.
Just the dresses.
No, I have a rule for costumes. Once they part of the collection, only matches on when they're wearing them.
Yeah, because mannequins don't sweat.
That's the main thing. Or get drunk with them.
You know that.
Well, at least, like, you don't have to worry about the hanging costume. I'll probably go to first dates on it. I'll be careful.
It was Columbus, Ohio. Yeah.
I thought it was in the family.
So as far as I know, there's only been, I guess, about 4 counting this one.
If we get a palm lock, then we all set.
It had some of the stuff in the 70s.
What's that?
It had some of the stuff in the 70s.
The Eagles? Yeah, I got mine still. Yeah, I painted that area. Why did they put that green? Oh yeah, I have one unbuilt one. Hanging out of that thing, yeah. Yeah. Well, usually I get...
Somebody said that the director
Oh, when you're gonna get area, crash on the ones.
Yeah.
What year was this?
78.
78. Mark still had that.
Yeah, so that's real hair,
Careful with something.
That big wheel? I mean, if you want to open it.
Oh, yeah, I think
Yeah, they name the manufacturer.